email me all the time about, well, you need to talk about mouthpieces. What about the mouthpiece? What does this mouthpiece do? What does that mouthpiece do? You know, okay, so I'm going to give kind of a little synopsis of the different mouthpieces. We all know what a smooth mouthpiece does. It's really good for a horse that's real sensitive. I don't like to use it very much because I figure whenever you start really asking a horse to run in a smooth mouthpiece, they get to running through it. But we kind of come up with something that works better, which we'll go through that. We offer a square and a slow square twist. And I will tell you, I get that slow square twist a lot back because I don't think people understand how to use it that much. I have a lot of people that run in that slow square twist. And I think when what makes that work so good on that slow square twist, and all it is a square mouthpiece that's slowly rolled. Yes, it does offer you a lot of control, but what I find, what people don't understand is when you got to handle your horses with that slow square twist, when you're trying to run it, when you got to handle your horse, like ask them to come back or trying to lift them, I think horses get really resentful of that. One, because I don't think people understand that getting the mouthpiece size right is the most important thing, is getting the mouthpiece size right. And what ends up happening is the mouthpiece connects to the horse's corners of the mouth where it's too small, and you get that kind of reaction, that sensitive reaction. And especially on a slow square twist, because that thing can be really sharp because it is a square and it does roll. And I think also what I had trouble with it because I asked the horse to come back across to the barrel like this, and so when you move that outside piece, it will hit the corners of the horse's mouth and lips, and I think that gets them elevated. So to me, a slow square twist is only for training at home. It's not one you want to run in. And I think people don't understand that slow square twist when they look at it and they understand how to use it. Do I have people that run in it? Yes. And I think what works for them is this. These are people who are shorter than more jockey size. Their horses automatically come back. They don't have to handle them that much around the barrel. And I think that's why it works really well for them, because they just need control going into a barrel. They don't need it coming out or having to handle their horse. So I think that's what works really good for them. And it may work good for you, but I just want to, I always caution people about that slow square twist that we offer, because it is one that I get back very much. And this is what I hear from people after they get it. My horse got really resentful, he got really stiff, he didn't want to pick up, he didn't want to come to me, and horses do that whenever they don't like things connecting with them, which we'll talk about mouthpiece size in a minute, why horses act the way they do, because it's instinct. When they get in a bind, or they don't like something, or something is uncomfortable, they have two responses. It's fight or flight. They're not going to have any between, well, maybe I'll do it for you. No, there's two responses that your horse is going to get. He's going to fight you, or he's going to run away from you. And so when horses get in a bind, that is the reaction that they have. And so you can't be surprised when your horse has that kind of reaction. So, you know, and the twisted used to be kind of my go-to mouthpiece, but I'm finding more and more, and this is a nice twisted mouthpiece, I'm finding more and more horses don't really care for that mouthpiece that much. Do they, do we still use it? Absolutely. But I think it goes back to the mouthpiece size. If it's not correctly sized for your horse, then I think you run into problems with this twisted. And it's a good one to step up from the smooth. The one I'm finding I like the most, and I was introduced to this mouthpiece by a couple people, it's the Hexagon. And it's not a square. When you look at the picture, it looks like a square, but it's not. It's 8-sided, it's not sharp, it's very smooth, and actually I think I like this better, and we make it in a large or a small. The large, I like the large better than I do the small, because, and I like it, to step up from a smooth mouthpiece, because you have the control there, but you don't get the resentment that you would on a slow square twist. So the Hexagon, you got it right there if you need it. But even on sensitive horses, I put this Hexagon on, and they love it because it's bigger, it's more something to play with in their mouth, and I think it feels like a smooth, but when you need that extra whoa, or you need that extra lift, or you need that extra hip and rib control, you have it when you need it. And I think that works really good. The one that I love the most, that I use a ton, is this little port right here. And that little port right there, it is a nice smooth port. And I think what, people when they look at ports, I don't think they quite understand how to use them. And I've used a lot of ports, and I used to be anti-port because I would get this reaction. You get a lot of control, like, whoa, if you got one that's kind of a free runner, and he's kind of pushing past the barrels, or he's kind of taking the bit away from you, you get that control, but you also get a lot of resentment. Because a lot of ports that I see are real wide, and they're very tall. And I think what happens is when we go to push that down on a horse's tongue, we get into the part where they think that they're in a bind again, because it just stops on that tongue and just pushes it back. It does give a lot of tongue relief, but when you're asking a horse to come here, what's working is this little broken part right here. And I think what happens is that kind of sticks on a horse's tongue and they don't like it. And it may even pinch it a little. I'm not sure. I'm not in there to video it, but it kind of feels that way to me when I've used ports before, especially wide ports and tall ports. So Jason kind of came out with this little port right here and put it on the Hexagon, and I started using it, and I use it a ton in my clinics because it is so good for a horse that's really strong and one that wants to really just drop, and you're having trouble with him. And there's a couple things that go back to position and control why you're having trouble with him. But I like it because, one, you can back a horse off the bit, off of it really nice if you've got one that's pushing on you and kind of shaking his head, doesn't want to pay attention. And you've got one that he wants to get real stiff in the rib cage, and I'm big on rib cage softness, big on rib cage softness. So, and a lot of hip control. And so you can run in this port and you don't get the resentment because you can hear, a horse likes to play with that cricket, and this little port right here just lays right there on it, and it doesn't seem to trap them or put them in a bind. So that's kind of the mouthpieces that are kind of my favorite. I know everybody, and we have mullins, we have chains. Jason's favorite mouthpiece is the chain with the cricket. So everybody, when they place their order, be sure you do the chain with the cricket. That's his favorite one. I go in the shop and he goes, oh Lord, there's more chains with crickets. Because it's very hard to weld and it's very tedious on the chain. But we do chains, we do squares, we do the slow square twist. We've got the port and that port comes in a smooth, it comes in a twisted, it comes in whatever. And like I said, all of our mouthpieces are at the bottom on our website and on the About page. So you can go and look at that. And if you have any questions, and we build mouthpieces all the time, so I have new and upcoming mouthpieces. I like to study mouthpieces a lot for horses too, so that's kind of our scoop on mouthpieces.